Right, we're gonna do some quasi-simulated birria tacos.
Okay.
Now, originally for this recipe, I wanted to do the King Oyster and like braise it the way you would meat for normal birria tacos. But we kind of stumbled upon this on accident, and you can have a really nice product, good in texture, great in flavor, and it turns out for everyone. We're gonna make essentially a simulated like au jus type thing. Traditionally with birria tacos, you have some sort of dip made from like the braising liquid of the meat in the taco. Mushrooms don't really produce much of like a byproduct that we could then use to create a dipping sauce, other than maybe some less than ideal mushrooms. So we're gonna use this kind of batch of like trimmings and stems and extra little usable bits that aren't bad but aren't great, and turn them into some mushroom broth for dipping our taco in.
Cool. So yeah, here's some of the stuff that he's referring to. It's a bit of the trim. Honestly, like I'd say this is maybe not even a pound.
Yeah.
The mushrooms that was in there is probably about a half pound.
We're just gonna get enough cold water in here to cover. And obviously they're gonna float a little bit. Kind of make sure everyone's nice and submerged. And then we're gonna throw a lid on this so we're not like rapidly reducing it. Honestly, at home, you probably would not need to throw a lid on it. Here we can get water to boil in like 2 minutes, so I'm gonna throw a lid on it because I don't want to lose all the moisture.
Right.
And we're just gonna rock that. We're gonna get it up to temperature fairly quickly. Once it gets there, we're gonna turn it down low. We do not want it to boil, and then we're just gonna let it ride. We have cilantro, onion, tortilla.
Right.
That's really all that I need.
And then some cheese.
We had some really perfect cheese for this, but it did turn on me.
You know, normally you would want to be going with queso fresco for your cheese. But
Yeah, I mean, really, you can go with whatever you want. There's obviously a litany of Mexican cheeses that it's, proper to use, but I've done it with mozzarella. You can use cheddar. You can use whatever you want. I personally like something with a little more moisture content, so it gets a little ooey gooey, like quesadilla like, rather than the drier stuff. But I mean, really, just find what works for you. In Traverse City, we have TC Latino, which kind of hooks it up with some of the good Mexican cheeses.
So yeah, Jackson found that he didn't have the spices that we needed mixed.
Last time we did this, when we were trying it out, I just had some toasted cumin coriander ready to go. Today I don't have those ready, so I'm just going to toast up a little bit of cumin coriander.
Cool. What do you guys typically use this for in the restaurant?
Right now, the number one thing we're using it for is our house crackers. We just sift a little bit of this into the cracker dough, and it like explodes. It gives it just a complete different complexity of flavor. Right now I'm kind of going in an in-between, just because I'm not interested in scorching anything here. Truly the best way is to go pretty low and slow. But if you keep them moving, you can kind of push that a little bit. So with coriander, it's super easy when to tell, that it's time. You can see the color has evolved already, and we're getting pretty close. Cumin is a little different because it's kind of naturally dark already, but you can see we're getting smoke bellowing. So I'm gonna just pull it, kind of let it ride out a little bit in the pan, and just keep it nice and even. And then we're gonna go onto this guy here, just to like totally stop it from toasting, because these will burn if you just leave them on the stove in the pan and turn it off, and you don't account for it. They will burn very quickly and very easily.
So I didn't know this, but then I went and tried the birria that we're making right now, and I didn't know, but these two flavors were the thing that seems to make birria taste like birria. So we are shredding the King Oysters right now.
And we're gonna throw a little bit of it right on the ground. So with this, we were kind of finding that slow, lighter pressure kind of was leading to a better result rather than trying to go all the way through the mushroom and then straight down to the bottom.
That's right. That's what I remember.
If you just kind of lightly, work your way down, you can get this almost like pulled porky texture.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, that is great.
And on a bigger one like this, I'm gonna almost take it in 2 steps where I'm gonna do this first half and then I'll kind of move on. Because if I just hold it here, it's gonna break right here and I'm gonna lose it. So
I don't believe I got this on camera, but you were talking about the importance of a sharp fork when doing this. Which
yes.
I imagine it's probably. I mean, it is difficult to come by these. Nowadays.
Yeah, it kind of sounds dumb, but and I also think a thin pronged fork is kind of key, so that you can give it space to build up like it just did, and there's enough space in between for it to actually shred. Whereas if you have a super thick prong, it's gonna more just kind of get in there and break it up rather than have this nice shreddy texture. If you only have thick dull forks, I think everything's gonna be fine. But maybe go through and find the sharpest of your thick dull forks.
You're not throwing shade at all.
Honestly, that might be the title of my memoir. So when we did this before, on these little caps, I like just throwing these in there as their own texture. In this case, we're kind of getting this fray underneath the cap. I'm going to just kind of follow these natural lines that it's creating and take some of that cap with some of the strands of, stringy sort of stem like that. Right. Then I'll leave these 3 guys as kind of their own fun little 4 guys, their own little texture. It's like a bonus bite. If you get a cap in your taco.
In this, we're going to be doing just your standard cooking oil.
Yep, a little bit of cooking oil, a little bit of Earl. And with this, just like most of these other mushroom recipes we're doing, the moisture is a really key point to be paying attention to.
Right.
So if you throw too much oil in here, they're just going to kind of be sopping in fat, and they're not really going to be what we want.
Which is something I find myself dealing with all the time when I cook. And
honestly, me too.
I just don't know how to do it. I suck at it.
Yeah, so it's just kind of balancing. I also think there's something to be said about oil when it's cold. If I were to just fill this up and then heat it up, there's so much oil. Whereas kind of gradually as we're cooking, we can be watching where needs oil or where has too much oil and sort of adjust to that throughout the process, rather than just oil at the beginning and then start and then see what happens. We can kind of nurse it as we roll through the cooking process. We let these cool down, because if you blend them up while they're hot, you kind of get steam worked in, and that's just the opposite of what we need to be doing when we're grinding stuff up, because it'll all turn into one big old clump. And as you can see, I'm grinding these together because I kind of had my ratio of cumin and coriander down. If you care to, you can do them separately, obviously, and then make your adjustments after that, but I know this is a pretty good ratio for me. I'm going to do the least professional thing ever, and just plug this guy in right here. Give it a quick... And we're going to call it. And that's what we're looking for.
Looks like coffee.
Oh, it smells so much better than coffee. And I say that as a big fan of coffee.
That does smell, dude. It almost smells like there's. Oh my god, that smells so good.
I know, layers on layers. It's almost like everyone in the world cooks with this combination of spices.
It's almost like there's lime in there.
Yep. And I'm betting we're maybe almost too hot. No, we're gonna be good. All right, so just for starters, I am gonna take just a little bit of this oil out of here and have literally just enough to get a super small pool. And then we're gonna drop everything in and see if we have to add more, take more out. Because I had that pan nice and hot going in, it's gonna cool down gradually as we add these, and I'm gonna just turn it down a little bit. Kind of want to get an initial nice shock sear on them, and then just kind of let them glide slowly. Because if you keep that heat high, they're gonna burn before they get that nice texture we're looking for. And now you want to just kind of evenly spread them out over the pan. Think about it, you know, you want as much mushroom surface area touching the bottom of the pan as possible. Obviously you can use tongs or a spoon or a fork or a dull fork or a sharp fork or a dull spoon for that matter. Whatever whatever you want to do. Listen to your heart. I'm also going to throw just a little bit of salt in here now to kind of aid in that moisture extraction, because we want to get that out now rather than later. Right. Now I can already see all that fat is gone. That's all we got in there. Very, very little bit. It's looking really dry right in the center. So I'm gonna just kind of dot a little bit there and hit a little bit out here. And if you can just kind of gradually make sure that oil gets nice and evened out throughout the pan. And then you can let it hang out.
Cool.
Don't fuck with it. Don't frick with it. Don't frickin' heck with it, bro.
That's a penny in the jar. Feel them bubbling and burping.
Popping and crackling.
And screaming.
So we're getting a really nice color under there.
Yeah.
I do want to get it just a little bit deeper, so I'm gonna let them rock for just another probably 45 seconds or so.
Okay.
And then we're gonna jostle them around, probably add just a touch more fat, let them hang out for another 5 minutes or so, and we'll be donezo. And that is about as perfect as it gets in terms of color there. So.
Nice.
Now you could strategically try and like flip this all individually. I personally would recommend not wasting your time, and because you have so much good color, just kind of get in there and split it up. Obviously at this point you're going to want to see all the golden towards you so that you know that all the parts that have not been cooked are on the bottom. Right. But truly you got enough texture already that you know you're not going to get in trouble from this point.
Right.
Now I am going to just put, you can see there's that much oil in there. It's looking a little dry over here. I'm just going to give it a dot throughout. And honestly, there's something to be said too about like a little bit of the gummy, chewy texture amidst the crunch. So
I was just about to remark on
if
that.
that's your vibe, you can just pull it right now and go in. I'm kind of a crunchy boy myself, so we're probably gonna let this ride for another 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay.
It's all over.
What
no!
did you do? Luckily we still
honestly, pretty solid salvage rate, but god damn it, bro, that sucks. That just sucks.
Ah, the sweep of shame.
I'm sorry to all the cumin and coriander watching. It's a dishonor to the cumin and coriander race that I've done this today. You will not be forgotten. I'm happy with it. If you want to keep going to Crunch Town, you can just do this for 40 minutes. Just leave it on the super low heat and almost simulate the pearl oyster recipe and just do super low and slow, and you're not really ever going to get in trouble as long as you're watching it. But this way, the gummy white part still stays a little bit, so you have a little bit of chew on it, as well as these like super nice crunchy edges. We pulled her from the heat now, just kind of letting it hang out. Over here we got our cut up onion, cilantro, and this is our cumin and coriander. Now it's the same thing with this. I'm gonna not really speak on exactly how much you want to go here, because you go however much you want to go. I love the depth that this brings. You can also obviously add more to it, more taco seasoning. And again, if you want to make this with Kraft Colby cheddar and like some basic ass taco seasoning, like that's fine. It'll be good. All right, so I just threw these tortillas in the oven in like a little wet towel, so they were kind of steamed and gummy, so we can actually bend them. If they're super dry and brittle when we go to make our taco and sear it, they're gonna crack like that, which is totally natural on the tortillas part. All right, so I'm gonna we could kind of split this up and do a little two little half tacos, but for the sake of today,
one big taco.
Yeah, we're going one big taco, and we're going real simple with it. I'm gonna get all these goodies in here. Obviously, I don't want that like boil, but all those crispies we're good with. Okay, so we did find this mystery cheese downstairs for the staff, and we're gonna go ahead and eat it. I really just don't know. I just don't know.
It smells good. It tastes like cheese,
and it seems a step closer to taco cheese than like this Telaggio here, which is like maybe the farthest thing I can think of from good taco cheese. So, if you find a random container of cheese in your fridge that you want to get rid of, you can use that to make these tacos. Or you could use like real cheese that's made for this, but not today.
So traditionally, what would that have been?
I don't know. I don't know how to speak Spanish.
Oh. Let's hear your best attempt.
Owaka? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna go Owaka. Final answer.
Okay.
Lock it in.
I think what he meant to say was Waka Flocka.
Oh man. All right. So I'm a fan of these things raw. I'm not really a believer of cooking them. Obviously, if you want to throw caramelized onions in your taco, I will continue to support you. However,
I mean, he says that, but,
but the tone.
I don't believe it.
In this case, I'm kind of going for like a overfilled, bussin' out the seams.
That's the way to do it.
Jaw-dropping birria taco. All right, so same thing here. I am going to pour a little bit of this off just so I am secure that we are not going to have too much oil rocking in here.
Okay.
But now it is nice and hot.
Would you say like just after the smoke point? Or like just after it starts smoking?
Just before, honestly. Like you want to see this nice shimmery situation going on.
Right on.
And I'm going to just go ahead and drop her in. A nice sizzle is great, but you don't want an explosion, obviously. And I'm going to just weigh this down a little bit. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds like a quesadilla. And to that, I would say, yes, it does. I do not know what any of this means. But I do know that this is going to be delicious.
You know what, man? It looks good. We're using mushrooms to make tacos right now.
Yeah, so like really,
let's be real.
What sort of laws are we going to respect
We're
here?
breaking all of them.
This is pretty much the selling point for me is like that right there. That's all I want. There's also one on the other side here. That's perfect. That is a golden sign. We're getting a little bit of good color over here as well. Good enough that I think I am going to flip her. Also something to note, the cheese was on top, so it's melted down, which is my preference. I find if you put the cheese on the bottom first, it just bleeds directly onto the pan and out of the tortilla, whereas if you put the cheese on top, it will melt down towards the heat into the mushrooms. And you just kind of want to make sure that the oil is nice and even. And I'm betting we're about 2 minutes out, maybe 90 seconds out. I'm just going to throw a little more weight on it and ride it out. Oh yeah,
that looks amazing.
Exactly what we're looking for.
It's so good.
And now in this case, we're going to just throw it in a low oven to eat it in a second. But this would be a finished product right here. This is about all you're looking for. Yeah. And then throw your cilantro and onion on, and you're good to go.
We both took a whiff of this, and it is potent.
Yes, this is still just mushroom and water, and you can see it's taken on a pretty golden color.
Yeah.
It's clear, but it's definitely got color to it. All right, so just a super simple. Obviously, you can strain this through like pretty much anything you have. If you have a tea strainer or chinois, you could take it the extra step and run it through like a paper filter or something ultra fine. But you can see these floaties in here, and I am good with the floaties. I like it a little bit chunky. The normal dipping sauce that we would have with Birria Tacos has like a lot of fat in it from the braising of the meat. And this is just a super clear water base. So I'm gonna actually just sear some mushrooms and onion and butter. And then I'm gonna deglaze the pan with our mushroom broth and kind of simulate that like roasted flavor while also getting some butter or some fat in there to kind of help coat the taco and kind of simulate that mouthfeel of like, you know, traditional au jus or something like that, you know, grounding in that.
So we're pulling some of the caps out of this solids that we used for the broth. And he is going to be using these in the pan, but it is strictly aesthetic. It's not.
Yes, yeah, not. I mean, I don't have any sort of scientific backing here. I just like the looks of the little baby dirt flowers, you know.
Yeah, dirt flowers. Come
on.
That's so cute.
So we just went in pretty hot, and this is just a totally dry pan. And now again, we're trying to get the water out of the mushrooms, and you can hear them just screaming and popping. So surface area is important here. Again, you want to just make sure as much surface area of the mushroom is on the pan so we can get the moisture out of it. And we're going to go in with a little bit of butter. And cool it down a little bit. And once the butter kind of spreads out, everyone's going to break away from the pan. And we're getting that golden color, which is exactly that flavor that I wanted. And like even on the top of that cap, that's pretty well seared.
Yeah.
And I'm going to blast it for another just a second here. And give it just a bit more butter. And a little bit of burn is honestly okay because we're really trying to get that like roasted flavor out of it. Okay, now we got a nice golden brown, and we're getting a nice like. Damn, it is almost like a sauce down there. Like the mushroom water mixed with the butter has kind of morphed.
Okay. Cool.
And now we're gonna go in with this. Get a bunch of bubblage. But honestly, I'm gonna say there's almost enough flavor in there that I'm I'm not going to let it reduce much further. We're going to probably just let it come to a boil, and then we'll strain it again and season it, and be good to go. We just let it come up and then strained it, and now you can see there's little beads of fat in there.
Yeah.
And it's gotten like much more cloudy, whereas before it was just more of like that clear soup broth almost. So that's the first salt that we've put in there, and I'm honestly betting that it might not need as much as I'm thinking. God damn. We have our scrawny little half taco here.
So, quick story about this. You're probably noticing that it's only half of a taco, but that's because we got a little bit hungry.
Yeah, you know, time passed.
Yeah.
So now we have almost more of like
A miniature
tortilla
quesadilla.
chip.
The owner of the restaurant came in, and we just graciously gave
We had
her
to
half
give
of
some
it.
samples, you know. All right,
You get first dip.
let's go in. Gotta let it soak for just a second, you know, full saturation, like an Oreo in milk.
Well, there'd be some people that would debate with you on that, but
And I would say, I respectfully think you're wrong.